Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the books that I've picked up in the first few months of 2023. I was about to say 2021 there. I was like going 2 years back into the past. So these are the books that I picked up in February, March and April. There were a couple of books that I picked up in January, but I included them in my Christmas book haul. These are the ones that I've been buying so far this year. I've been really trying to be very good at my book buying and not buying too many and trying to make sure that I'm reducing my physical TBR. There have been, I feel as though February I was doing really well because I had a great reading month. I was really reading from my physical TBR and I was reducing it, whereas March was a little bit less great, that I brought books in. I didn't read loads from the physical TBR, and April I've just been slow so far. So hopefully I will continue to keep getting to these, but there aren't too many. There are not too many. I am relatively sticking to my plans of reducing my physical TBR. I split this up into a couple of sections and we will just go through them and admire their prettiness. So the first little section is books that Orbit have sent me. I am on their mailing list and every now and again I see a book on there that I want and I'm like, oh, that one's for me, please. So I request it. So I do have a couple from them. So I have the Foxglove King by Hannah Witton, which is the first book in a new trilogy. We're following a main character, Law, who has death magic, and she works for this cartel, but at the beginning of the book something goes wrong and she ends up in the hands of the king, and her normal punishment would be death, but because of a mass illness on the outskirts of the kingdom, he asks her to investigate and figure out what is going on over there. This means that she gets thrust into this lavish court where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. I assume there is going to be some fantasy romance within this, hopefully quite swoon-worthy. And I do really like a death magic, a necromancy within books. I just find it very compelling to read. So I really hope that I enjoy this. I did enjoy her previous duology, the For the Wolf and For the Throne books. Well, they weren't new favourites, but I enjoyed them. So hopefully she has continued to refine her craft in this one. And then the other book that I requested from them is The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart, the third and final book in the Drowning Empire trilogy. I've really thoroughly enjoyed The Bone Shard Daughter and The Bone Shard Emperor, so when I saw the third book available to request, I was like, definitely sign me up. So I'm really excited to conclude this trilogy. The first book is a multi-perspective story. Two of our main characters are Lynn, who is the daughter of the Emperor, and then Jovis, who is a smuggler who is on the search for his missing wife. We follow them as well as a couple of other characters in this archipelago. The magic system in this world is that everybody within this archipelago has given a bone shard, and these bone shards are used to fuel these constructs, which can do a variety of tasks, some quite menial and some quite high up in government. But if your bone shard is in operation, it means it is slowly draining your life force. I am really excited and I really hope that this sticks the landing and is an excellent conclusion to this trilogy, which I'm really excited to get into. Really excited to get into this. So those are the ones that I have requested and got from Orbit, and now we're into the ones that I've been buying myself and slowly accumulating over these past couple of months. I had one day where I just really gave in to all the temptations, all the new books. They called to me. I went with it. I'd met up for brunch with my friend Brittany, and obviously when two book lovers get together, although you intend to just meet for brunch, you're like, well, we're in central London, we're near the bookshops, might as well go into the bookshops. So that's what we did. We went into the bookshops. She was so much more reserved than I was. I was like, books! I did a little bit of damage in Forbidden Planet. There was a little bit of damage was done to my bank account because I decided to go for all these new hardback, new releases that I just had to have and needed in my life, and then I had to carry them home. It was a bit of a pricey day, but a joyful day. So it brought me joy. So from that trip, I got The Tyranny of Faith, which I've since read, by Richard Swan, the second book in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy, the first book being The Justice of Kings. This one I read in March and I have reviewed it during my March wrap-up. thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was a massive step up for me from book one. Book one, we're following our main characters, Conrad von Volt, who is a justice in this world, so he goes around the Empire meting out justice. But it is all told through the perspective of his assistant, Helena, as they investigate a murder in a small rural village. Things then definitely expand. I really enjoyed this one because we got much more into like the center of the empire. We saw different parts of the empire. We really delved into like the necromancy, dark magic in this. It had some horror type twists to it, which were just very compelling to read. I really liked the progression of the characters. I don't know why I'm giving you a wrap up of this, but I bought this and it was probably my biggest positive surprise of the year so far. I also bought Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare, the third and final book in the Last Hours trilogy. I've been reading Cassandra Clare for many years. These books are set in the Shadowhunter world, which is a massive world that Cassandra Clare has created, crossing multiple series. So she has 2 series set in the modern day, one in New York and one in LA, and then she has 2 series now set in London in the 1900s. This series follows the children of the first series, The Infernal Devices. I just reread the first book so I can continue on, and the second and third book will be first time reads for me. I find these really fun. They're very angsty, they're very compelling. There's lots of relationship drama between the characters that just keep you reading because you want to know where it's all going to end. The fantasy elements, you have these shadow hunters, which are descendants of angels that fight demons, and then there are also like warlocks and vampires and fairies that are all in this world. So they're just very fun. They're very fun, they're very angsty, and they're great. I'd say they're great palette cleansers. They're great palette cleanser books. So I bought that so that I can finish that series off, and then the final one that I bought in Forbidden Planet is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I read many years ago and absolutely loved. And I am currently reading this one. I am over halfway through now. I have a big aim. I'm filming this on the 8th, 9th of April. And I really need to get this finished before Thursday, before I go away with work. So I have to finish this. I cannot have this book coming with me. Must power through. My reading's been a little bit slow in April, but we're going to do some powering through of this. It's Easter Sunday right now as of filming. This was like a Forbidden Planet special edition because it's got the blue sprayed edges. It's signed. I really could not resist it. I could not resist it. It called to me. The cover is just absolutely stunning. It's so pretty. This is a multi-perspective fantasy story set across this world, which was originally created in the Priory of the Orange Tree, but this one is set 500 years in the past. I'm really enjoying all of the perspectives in here. I would say it's very like feminist fantasy, that 3 of our 4 perspectives are female and then 1 male. So there's lots of different perspectives, which all I assume are going to interweave at some point. One of them is a princess in a queendom, and we're following her life. We're also following 2 older perspectives in the Priory as they narrate what's going on there. And then across the sea in the east, we're following another perspective of a girl that was brought up in the mountains. And we know that a rising threat is coming, that there is tension, there is this threat that is coming into this world that is going to affect all these characters. Things are going to go wrong. And I feel like we are definitely on a build. We're on a slow build, but we're on a build. But I really like the world building in this and the characters so far. So thoroughly enjoying it. And now just some other ones. But speaking of slightly more special editions, I got The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty with the Waterstone thread sprayed edge, and again signed. But yeah, so not quite as special as like a book box book, but still quite special. Another one that I've read. This one, you are following our main character Amina, who is a retired pirate captain, as she is sent on one final mission to recover the daughter of one of her old comrades, and the adventures that she gets up to on this journey as she brings the crew back together for this final mission and the trials and tribulations that they go through to try and succeed in this adventure. It is set in like the 12th century with the same influences that we got in David Bad, so there's Middle Eastern inspired setting, which I thoroughly enjoy reading about. The same magic system as well, so there's little Easter eggs between the 2 series which I really thoroughly enjoy spotting. You don't need to read one before you read the other, but I just really enjoy spotting the little Easter eggs that were in this. And now to some standard paperbacks. So I have Glow by Raven Kennedy. My sister actually gifted this to me, so she meant to gift this to me for Christmas, but it didn't come out until January. And she was like, Abby, I've bought you a book, but it's not arrived. And I was like, oh, you've pre-ordered me a book. Thank you. So she hadn't realised the release date on it when she got it off my wish list. And this is the 4th book in the Plated Prisoner series, which is a fantasy romance following a main character, Oren, and it is a King Midas retelling. At the beginning of the first book, she is his pet, but more like a prisoner. She just doesn't realise it, in this gold-plated kingdom. And then things definitely develop and change by the time we get to the rest of the series. See, quite a few of these are sequels. I'm doing okay with reading my sequels. More like I've been good at buying them, I haven't been good at reading them all yet. I also have The Bitter Twins by Jen Williams, the 2nd book in the Ninth Reign trilogy, which I still need to get to. I've been meaning to read this book for so long. You will be read, I promise. The Ninth Reign is a genre blending, bending. I never know if it's genre blending or bending, because I feel as though both terms work. So it's a genre bendy blendy book. We're following a cast of characters in this world where there are these reigns or seasons where they fight this evil force, evil opposing enemy, and it's been quite a while since the previous reign, and we follow this cast of characters. One Vintage, who is investigating, or she's a historian, she's going through the past and looking at the relics from the previous reign. We follow a Witch who has been imprisoned because witches are sort of seen as evil in this world, and we follow a vampiric-like figure. So one of the races in this world are considered vampires in a way that they feed from this golden tree. However, this tree has died, and so they now feed from the blood of humans. But this, although sustains them, is also killing them. So I really enjoyed that first book, which I read in December, and I've been meaning to continue on. I really have been meaning to continue on, and I just haven't, and I need to continue with the rest of the series. I really do, before I forget things. And then the final book that I have picked up in the past couple of months is Blood Mercy by Bella Roth, the first book in the Bloodgrace series, which is a fantasy romance series, which is, I believe it's going to be quite a few books, but I read and I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I really liked how fantasy heavy it was for a fantasy romance, that it was very political. We're following a main character, Cassia, who is the bastard daughter of the king in this world, and he is very manipulative. He will use anybody and he will kill them as soon as they do not have any value to him, and so she is trying to maintain her value to him. We then follow Leo, who is part of the Hesperian race that have come to this court as the king has summoned a summit for their people to come together. This summit has not happened in 400 years, so they're hoping that this will tie their nations back together. And our two characters meet at this summit as they start to build a relationship together. It's quite a slow build as we get used to this world and these characters, but I was really thoroughly enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to continuing with this series. There we go. Those are the books that I have picked up in 2023 so far. I feel like I've done relatively well at reading them. I read half of them. I've read 4.5 of these 9 books, and I feel as though some of the other ones are sequels to things, so I just need to actually finish my sequels. I will finish my sequels. I will, I promise. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Let me know if you have read any of these books, what books you have been buying so far this year, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!